We've all been on the receiving end of bad AI in selling. Let's talk about the right and wrong way to use AI in sales in this episode of Closing Time. Thanks for tuning into Closing Time, the show for go-to-market leaders. I'm Val Riley, head of marketing for Insightly and Unbounce. Today, I am joined by Nick Caruso. He is the CRO of KnowledgeNet.ai. Nick, thanks for joining us today.
Well, thanks for having me, Val. It's a pleasure to be here.
Awesome. It's tempting to look at all that AI offers in terms of efficiency and try to apply that to sales, right? But we've talked a little bit about activities versus outcomes, and that's really where we need to put up a caution sign, I think.
It is. I mean, AI is completely transforming this entire space. The biggest use of AI right now is in software development. A lot of people, I think, that are in college right now that are in software development roles, I'm saying, well, maybe you may want to rethink that because it's truly transformative. And then the next piece after that is really every company wants more sales. And that's the next big focus point of AI is how to help build top of funnel, how to close more deals, how to close them faster.
So I think that the elephant in the room is that AI SDR. And I've seen this done really poorly. We talked a little bit about this. So you and I both went to big football schools. So I know you've gotten the generic, like silly references to cheers and rivalries, right? Like that's not what we're going for in AI and sales.
I think you're absolutely correct. So, Val, are you familiar with the Gartner hype curve with like the trough of disillusionment and things like that? If you're not familiar with the Gartner hype curve, with every technology, there's a lot of excitement and then it goes really high and then it hits a plateau and then it just crashes as people just realize it's not there. And then it has maturity model on there. I mean, and you'll see that across all technologies. And I think right now AI is still that hype curve, and now we're kind of hitting that trough of disillusionment. Those silly messages that you're seeing from AI SDRs on LinkedIn. But there's tremendous opportunities with AI, and I'm sure you're using ChatGPT or Copilot every day, and you're probably still amazed every day as to the improvements and the capabilities on it. As a fun side joke, I do some AI training. Have you ever asked ChatGPT to draw a glass of wine all the way full? Have you ever tried that?
I have not.
So these are fun things. Your audience can do that. Go to ChatGPT and ask it to draw a glass of wine all the way full. And a lot of times it can't do that because it's never seen a picture of a glass of wine all the way full. It's always seen it half full because every piece of marketing material out there on glasses of wine are always half full. But it's getting better and better and better. In fact, just the latest version of ChatGPT that came out a week ago kind of fixed that problem. So it's going to perfect that type of outreach. But right now, the best place of using AI to help build top of funnel, in my opinion, is finding new leads and converting and starting and scoring them and then putting them into an engagement sequence. Mm-hmm. So Val, you've probably used tools like 6sense or other buyer intent data, right?
Right.
And if I recall, those type of tools, they don't tell you who is looking, who the individual is. It's just giving you indications of a company might be a good sense. And I believe, maybe Val, you can help me out on this. I think what they're looking for is like Google searches or other messages that they're picking up on to detect that type of buyer intent signal, right?
That's correct. And then it kind of puts it in our hands to say, okay, who's the most likely person at this organization who might be the source of that search or that activity or that intent? And then we're holding the ball to see if we get that right.
Yeah, exactly. Now with AI what you can do is, as an example, on LinkedIn, maybe there's an influencer on LinkedIn that's in your space. And how cool would it be to have AI automatically look at every person that's commenting on that influencer and then using AI to automatically score that person that commented or reacted to the influencer to see if they fit your ICP and then to take action on it. So AI can be transformative in doing things that your human SDR would be great at doing, but your human SDR doesn't have the time to go through every influencer on LinkedIn, read every single one of the posts, look at everyone who's reacting, and then put them into a flow. And that is a great use case of AI as an SDR.
So I love that, because so much of what I see right now is just throwing AI over a data service like ZoomInfo and then pulling names, dropping them into a sequence. So you're saying have AI do some real research for you, research that a human might be limited in their ability to actually administer.
Yep, you're absolutely correct. And I don't propose getting rid of SDRs or BDRs just yet. I think that the time will come when it's really perfected, but AI is phenomenal at researching, right? So, here's another example. One of my clients, are you familiar with the term recidivism? It's trying to help people not go back to jail.
Absolutely.
So they provide grants, free money to nonprofits that are involved in anti-recidivism, which is a great program to be involved in. You can go to a ZoomInfo and you can search for nonprofits, right? You can search for foundations. You can't search for foundations or nonprofits that are focused on anti-recidivism. So what you really need to do is you need to go to those platforms as a human SDR, download 10,000 foundations, and then have to manually go into each foundation's website to read what they actually do, because that's what a traditional role of an SDR. That's a great use case of AI to automate going through that automatically. And what's great is that these nonprofits, they don't have the word anti-recidivism. They'll have things like reentry programs, right, or other words there's a million different permutations of that. But it's understanding the context as to what that foundation does, and then alerting the SDR. Okay, the AI has identified your perfect fit. So now you can go after and automate. Then the SDR can go after, pick up the phone, and call that foundation.
What I hear you saying is that there's some art in your prompt writing as well, right? Because as you mentioned, anti-recidivism might not be the term, but you might need to look at other terminology. So really, there's a skill here for SDRs or salespeople to learn around writing prompts that are specific and that actually achieve what you want them to achieve.
Yep. No, you're absolutely right. And actually, my company, we actually provide a more of an AI SDR service, because SDRs and sales managers aren't experts at prompt writing, right? So so when you look at an AI SDR, I'm not a big fan of the concept of an AI SDR SaaS platform, because I think those are basically ZoomInfo searches with some generic messaging. Look up the person on LinkedIn, find out what school they went to, and then insert the typical variable, go Knowles or go Gators. And that's where it's not working. But truly foundational research to identify the best ICP is a great first example.
So I guess the crazy part is, Nick, that if I was being outreached to by an AI SDR and that AI SDR was really good, I might not know. So, it's really about having the AI SDR so good that you mistake it for a human.
Yep. And I write proposals all day long, right? I write proposals like I'm the CRO. I've got my sales team. We're writing proposals. We're sending it to clients. I am now detecting that a lot of my clients are processing my proposal using ChatGPT.
Really?
So the questions I get back are ChatGPT generated questions, and they're fantastic questions. So guess what I do? I take those questions and I use ChatGPT based upon my knowledge base of all my sample proposals and responses, and it replies back with its answers, right? So a recent client we were literally almost like ChatGPTing back and forth questions and answers. So to get to your point, I think that in a pretty quick period of time, you're going to have your AI on like LinkedIn auto responding to you. So you're going to have AI SDRs talking to your AI, and they're just going to be ping-ponging back and forth. And it's a scary proposition, but I really think that's where we're going to be in a few years, where the outbound AI has to have a very clean value proposition as to why they want to engage with you. And your AI will then latch onto that value, do research on who's reaching out to you, triage if it's a valuable company, and then connect the dots and then set up the meeting.
Nice. So the AI then could look at a lead, customize a response, and potentially even try to set a call.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
that would definitely bring efficiency to that process for sure.
yeah. So this is a very technical term, but are you familiar with the term REST API? Have you ever heard that term?
Mm-mm.
So the way applications, I know, for example, you work with Insightly, right?
Mm-hmm.
Insightly is a CRM system. I bet ZoomInfo probably has a button where you can export contacts directly into Insightly, as an example.
Mm-hmm.
So the way it does that is through what's called a REST API. It's a way that computers can talk to other computer systems programmatically. That's been around for over 20 years. There is a new protocol coming out about how an AI agent can talk to another AI agent, which is really fascinating. So basically, two AI bots, one that would be you, maybe you have an AI virtual assistant and I have an AI virtual assistant, and the two bots can communicate back and forth in a certain way to accelerate communications and transactions, which will be really fascinating, where we're going to have meetings booked on our calendars that we've had no manual input on.
So the Insightly is coming to market quickly here with an AI co-pilot that we're super excited about, and just excited to see get it in the hands of our beta users to see exactly what they're going to do with it. It's almost challenging for us at this point to price the offering and understand how the offering is going to be used. And so our decision was we just got to get it in the hands of some people and see how they're using it. And then we have to learn from that and to know how the best way to market and sell it really is.
Right. And I bet so an Insightly Copilot, and I've worked with lots of other CRM systems, they're all coming out with their Copilot AI platforms. The future from there is really, how does your Copilot talk to the ZoomInfo Copilot, right? And that's where it gets really exciting. So, like even from Insightly now, you could be calling your AI Copilot could be calling out to another AI Copilot to maybe grab contacts and put them into Insightly. So the future from there is incredible. But right now, I'm doing a lot of work. The whole industry is doing a lot of work with using AI to help automate building top of funnel. So it's automating, finding contacts, triaging those contacts, and then putting them into a CRM system like Insightly. And then from there, using a drip sequence like you're familiar with to automate the outreach to those contacts. And then to your point is trying to make sure that messaging doesn't come across like an AI bot, because we've all been spammed to death on that.
I don't know any marketing leader who wouldn't be excited to see some help come to our outbound function in any way possible. You know, so many organizations are so heavily reliant on inbound right now. So what you're describing really sounds to me like a way for our outbound teams to have a lot more success with their cold outreach.
Yep, you're absolutely correct. And then also using other signals, like you've now merged in with Unbounce, right?
Correct.
And Unbounce is all about going to landing pages, right? And I assume Unbounce has some sort of like web analytics platform behind that and capturing that data. So you have forms where people are filling out the data, right? And then you also have anonymous visitors that maybe you can de-anonymize and find out the actual name of the company that's visiting your website. What we're doing with AI right now, which is really incredible, is there's a couple of things. When you're filling out a form, you want to take action on that form as fast as possible. So what we're doing with some clients is if a person is filling out a form, how great would it be for AI to immediately go out, do research on the person that filled out that form? If they were asking for information, tap into example proposals or marketing information or other literature that can help provide evidence to the person filling out the form that you can complete their request, and then automate that request to them to turn around that process as fast as possible. So that's where AI can be transformative, again, from a top of funnel perspective.
Absolutely. You know, there's some things will never change, AI or not. Sometimes the first person to respond is the one that's going to get that business. So if we can leverage AI to make our speed to response not only faster, but more enriched and powerful, I really feel like that's going to put us in an opportunity to win that business.
Yep. You're spot on. So one of my clients is an attorney. So like an accident attorney, and you see them all in the billboards, you see the phone numbers and things like that, right? Well, when you call into those numbers, you're just getting a generic answering service. They're capturing some information. They say, sure, we'll call you back or whatever, right? I'm working with a client where the AI is picking up that call, interfacing with the client, but it's a really smart AI. It is way smarter than a paralegal. So it provides confidence and evidence to the person picking up the phone that that law firm can quickly support them or triage it to see if it's a fit or not. And if it's a strong fit, the AI will actually text message an attorney immediately to say, "Hey, we got a hot one on the line. You need to call them right away." And that's a great example, and that can be put on like an unbalanced landing page as an example from an AI perspective. But it's all around the time to quickly turning around that lead.
Absolutely. Nick, I feel like we could talk for hours, but we do try to keep these episodes short. So I'll stop there. If our audience wants to follow you or learn more about your organization, where can they find you?
Sure. So my website is KnowledgeNet.ai. You can go to that website and you can reach out to us via that, or you can find me on LinkedIn. So Nick Caruso at KnowledgeNet.ai, and happy to continue the conversations with people from that perspective.
Great. So much there to chew on. Thank you, Nick. Thanks so much to all of you for joining us on Closing Time today. Remember, you can sign up to get these episodes delivered to your inbox so you don't miss an episode. Click on the link in the show notes, and we will see you next week.